Hi, this is quiz time. Who was the first audiophile? And or can we even identify such a person? And that's the question. And please enter into the comment section. Who do you think was the first audiophile in the history of audio? And some of you might say that it was Harry Pearson, but really Harry Pearson, he was the one who coined the term high-end audio, and that's something I would say relatively new. Audiophiles existed already before Harry Pearson. High fidelity was a thing when Harry Pearson was a young boy already. So clearly there had to be an audiophile who came before his age. And you might be shocked that my answer is, or what I think the answer is to that, is that there was such a person who I consider the first audiophile in history. And I can tell you guys that he is my role model in audio, and I would say that I can consider myself the follower of his lineage of loudspeaker design, because guess what? He did not just sit around on his behind, but he had some serious contribution to audio. And for that I need to take you back in time to basically the turn of the 1800s to 1900s, at the time where reproduced music, audio equipment was just discovered, and where this mystery audiophile entered into the picture is that basically he had to discover things from ground up, because he was an audiophile when there were no yet audiophile grade equipment, and he was an audiophile to such an extreme degree that he basically was responsible for creating high fidelity, creating audiophile products, or he opened up the audio development to the road that we can have high fidelity equipment where sound quality, natural sound quality is a consideration. Because when you look at it, in the 1920s, yes, we are now back in the 1920s, not 2020, exactly 100 years ago, I'm taking you back in time. At that time, audio basically consisted of radios, right? That was the only source that we had. So if you want to look at it, Collector's Guide to Antique Radios, written by Marty and Stu Bunnis. And when we look, just flip it open. Let's give you an example here. You can see this is how the antique radios looked like. Oh, where there, like a box like that. And basically these housed vacuum tubes, which were the radio receiver and the output section, and there was, and you connected it to some sort of rudimentary loudspeaker, and the purpose of that was just to give you sound, and the purpose of this equipment really in the beginning was for you to able to hear something from far away, right? And then these gave way to radios like this, where basically it was the same thing as this guy here. So you had the vacuum tube components inside a box, and into the box they also put a loudspeaker behind that nice grill. And basically the radios, the houses of the radios, acted just as a house to accommodate the tube complement and the loudspeaker. But the concept behind that was not to turn this into a loudspeaker cabinet. These were not loudspeaker cabinets yet. That concept did not exist back at that time. Or look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? So they were more like regarded as art objects, and let's see, Look at that beauty there. And they were more like or here. Isn't that amazing? So they look more like a furniture grade stuff that just devolved into cheap transistor crap over time. But the advent of loudspeakers, of loudspeaker cabinets, where the purpose of the box is not to make it pleasant enough so that you bring a foreign object into your living room and it does not ruin the decor, but the function of the cabinet is to improve the sound. And that was basically the idea of this first mystery man audiophile. And he did much more than that. So imagine that. So he was not the only person, of course, toying with loudspeaker cabinet. There were others. I cannot tell with certainty that he was the first to ever try that, but I know that in his time he had no peers around him who were into that business, and he went into that direction on his own and developed and designed his loudspeaker cabinets based on his own experiences, what he heard, how a loudspeaker cone reproduced the sound, and he tried to do something improvement about it to make it more natural, and he did even more than that. So this mystery man, he not just invented basically loudspeaker cabinets, he also invented the loudspeaker itself, the electrodynamic drivers. Electrodynamic driver is, let me show an example. Okay, here we go. It's in a box, I know, like you can go any store, pick up a loudspeaker driver, right? That's how they look like. So basically this mystery audiophile, first audiophile, he invented this technology. And now if you know who I am talking about, you will be mortified and say, of course he did not invent it, that was Rice and Kellogg. They had the first patent on the electrodynamic loudspeaker. But the thing is that this mystery audiophile, independently from Rice and Kellogg, invented the same technology. And by the time he came close to do the patent on it, Rice and Kellogg already patented his. So he just abandoned the patent attempt, and that was it. So that's why history remembers Rice and Kellogg as the inventor of electrodynamic loudspeaker, but that does not take any of this mystery audiophile's brilliance and innovativeness away, because he invented it in parallel with Rice and Kellogg. And I have to add that while Rice and Kellogg, they focused on making their invention more commercial, making a shit ton of money out of it, and making basically these radios popular as hell. That was solely because of Rice and Kellogg's invention, but they did not pursue it further. They were happy about it. They were happy about mass manufacturing it and doing minor changes. And this mystery audiophile, he actually went so much further that he invented high efficiency drivers. So basically, a few years after the invention of the electrodynamic driver, he already invented, he upgraded it to such a degree that he was basically the father of high efficiency drivers. And if you know about high efficiency drivers, basically they are the source of I would say the highest quality transducers available today. And did he stop with that? Of course not. Check this out. He invented horn technology. Now we are going bonkers, right? Have you ever heard about the Tektronix horn? Yup, that was his patent. And he had like tons of inventions, tons of patents to his name, and basically he also was the first to work with room acoustics, to recognize that the room does something to the equipment sound. And when you put a loudspeaker into a room, then the room interacts with the loudspeaker and changes its sound dramatically. And he developed the loudspeaker cabinets to compensate for the room effect. So basically, he is not just the first audiophile in the world, but he is the father of basically of all modern loudspeakers. And so I think that eventually, when you look at each of these areas, you will find a lot of inventors, a lot of brilliant people who worked on each of these fields and added a tremendous amount of effort into it. But to my knowledge, he was the first who ever took this undertaking to build loudspeaker for high sound quality. He was the first to give guidance towards this direction, and also he was the first one who had vision, purpose, and the foundation for high fidelity. Because every other inventor, they had pieces. They were people who, like Rice and Kellogg, who invented and successfully patented as first the electrodynamic driver. Then actually much later on, there were other people working on high efficiency drivers. There were tons of people working on horn technology. There were also others working on loudspeaker cabinets. There were also who are credited to their name on breakthroughs on room acoustics, but it was him alone who had the vision to look at all of these fields, and he also added the possibilities of amplification, of matching everything for a low power output tube amplifier. So he was the one who had a clear picture in his mind, who looked at a whole, at an optimized system, and his vision was the entire technology, and not just a snapshot, not just an isolated broken fragment. Because if you are into horns only, sure, you can do exceptional horns, but if you don't know about loudspeaker cabinet design, you don't know about the exact behavior of drivers, you are not an expert of room acoustics, then you will have less than satisfactory results, because you can perfect one area greatly, but if it doesn't fit the picture, then we have problems. And he was the guy who had it all down. And to this day, there is a loudspeaker type that bears his name. And it is, I would say, one of the most popular DIY loudspeaker builds. And even though I said most popular, if you hear its name, you probably draw a blank on it. But it's something truly astonishing, and people think it's from the 50s or 60s, something like that, but no, it is from the 30s, and it's quite likely one of the very first loudspeaker cabinets, and certainly one of the first high efficiency cabinet that uses horn loading ever designed. And up to this day, even though it's a 90-year-old design, but it's still capable of bringing you to audio nirvana. And I'm on a roll right now about the Holy Grail of loudspeaker, talking about my Altec Voice of Lancelot, how I got there, why I think it's so the last thing in my head, but it's something that's not so obviously accessible for everyone. I already made it clear that the drivers you need for that are either unavailable or available if you live in California for a small price. If you have access to internet ordering somewhere in the world, then it will be orbitally expensive. Or if you can pick it up locally, maybe you can pick it up for a six-pack, like a crate of beer. So, but it's something that's not clearly accessible to everyone. However, that kind of loudspeaker that he invented almost a century ago, that's available for everyone. And that's available for a beginner loudspeaker. It was my first ever loudspeaker build. And if you are totally new into audio, you can build it. My Altec speaker, even though I will share how to do it, if you try it, I would suggest, if you haven't had at least a decade or 2 decades of really serious, deep experience building and designing loudspeakers, don't even think about it, because you will not be able to reproduce it properly. So that's why I'm introducing you to him and what he created, because it's the Goldilocks loudspeaker that really unlocks the potential of low power amplifiers. And what it is, we are going to continue from here. Bye bye.